The entire New York high society knows that the eldest son of the Vance family is completely obsessed with his sister. He has doted on me for a full decade, but in the 11th year, the biological daughter is coming back. The night before her return, I plan to pack my valuables and make a run for it. Just as I scaled the estate gate, a pair of strong arms caught me. The gentle mask Harrison Vance usually wore shattered into pieces. His tone was dangerous.
Where are you going?
Making room for your actual sister.
He chuckled softly, hoisting me back onto his shoulder.
No need to clear the room, just give up half the bed. As for that so-called real daughter,
He gave my hip a light pat.
she will be your sister-in-law. She will have to live under your thumb from now on.
Winter arrived silently in Manhattan. Before fallen leaves could blanket the avenues, the cold air had already seeped into my nostrils. Sitting in the JFK Airport VIP lounge, my hands and feet were numb with cold. The coffee before me had grown ice cold, yet I felt no desire to touch it. My palms were drenched in cold sweat. I could only wipe it away repeatedly on my jeans. Harrison sat beside me, quietly flipping through the Wall Street Journal. A faint cedar scent lingered on him. It always brought a strange sense of peace. But today, even this familiar fragrance could not calm the storm raging within me. Just yesterday, I was told the Vance family's true daughter was finally returning. The biological heiress had gone missing years ago. I was taken in by Harrison, desperate to find his sister. For the past decade, the Vance parents treated me as their own. They gave me the most privileged life and the most complete love. And Harrison, my adoptive older brother, spoiled me to the core. The entire Upper East Side social circle knew that Harrison, the eldest son of the Vance family, was aloof, noble, and unapproachable. Yet he was utterly devoted to me, his sister, granting my every wish with extreme tenderness. But everything I possess belongs to another, a girl named Sloane Vance. My mind conjured countless melodramatic scenarios. What would the real heiress be like? Would she sob and accuse me of stealing her life? Or would she act like in the reality television shows, slap me hard across the face? Or perhaps just hurl this cup of cold coffee in my face. Whatever it was, I was prepared. This was what I owed her. The airport announcement chimed for the arriving flight. My heart clenched violently. It nearly leapt out of my throat. Harrison closed his newspaper and turned to look at me.
Nervous?
He asked, his voice as gentle as ever. I nodded, then shook my head. My lips moved, but no sound came out. He reached out, his large palm covering the back of mine. His palm was dry and warm. A steady stream of calming strength flowed from it.
Do not be afraid.
He said,
I have got you.
He had been saying this to me for 10 years. Every time I faced trouble, every time I felt helpless, he would say this to me. But this time was different. Harrison, I will not be your sister much longer. How much longer can you protect me? The crowd at the arrival's gate grew steadily. I spotted her immediately, Sloane. She was impossible to miss. Her hair was cut in a sharp, even bob. A few strands were dyed in bold platinum highlights. She wore a simple white graphic tee and ripped jeans. A massive canvas duffel bag slung casually over her shoulder. She did not resemble any version of the trust fund heiress I had imagined. Instead, she looked like a supermodel fresh off the runway, cool and fierce. The Vance parents had already rushed over. They embraced her, their eyes reddened. The scene was touching, yet also crowded. I stood there like an outsider, not knowing where to put my hands or feet. Sloane reassured her parents. Her gaze swept through the crowd. Finally, it landed precisely on me. I instinctively straightened my back, watching her slowly walk towards me. Those eyes bore a striking resemblance to Harrison's, both striking, intense eyes. Only hers held an extra measure of scrutiny. She did not cry, did not curse, not even a trace of resentment. She simply appraised me from head to toe, then let out a flirty whistle.
Not bad.
She tilted her head, nudging Harrison's shoulder.
Bro, your taste is pretty sharp. She is way prettier than the photos you sent.
I froze. Harrison's expression did not waver. He just quietly pulled me behind him, shielding me from Sloane's overly direct gaze.
Good to know.
His tone was flat. The parents approached. Mrs. Vance took my hand, her voice as affectionate as ever.
Natalie, you must be startled. This is Sloane. You two are sisters now.
Mr. Vance smiled and added.
Yes, our family has gained another precious daughter.
I felt utterly flustered. Staring at their smiling faces, I froze completely. This family, what was going on? This was not how the script was written. Back at the Vance estate, everything seemed unchanged. My room remained the same sunlit princess suite. The walk-in closet hung full of the season's latest designer fashions. On the vanity sat the perfume Harrison had gifted me just days ago, but the scales in my heart had tipped irrevocably. At dinner, Sloane recounted amusing anecdotes from her years out west. She was carefree and independent. She had worked her way through college, bartending to pay her way. She had backpacked across Europe, living passionately and freely. The more I listened, the more bitter my heart grew. If not for me, she should have had all this. She would not have endured so much hardship struggling on her own. Guilt wrapped around my heart like a vine, tightening. I began subconsciously seeking ways to make it up to her. Harrison picked up a piece of my favorite pan-seared halibut with his fork. I stared at the pristine whitefish fillet on my plate, hesitated, then passed it to Sloane beside me.
Try this. It is Martha's specialty.
I forced my voice to sound casual. The dining room atmosphere froze for a moment. Harrison's hand paused mid-air with his fork. His gaze settled heavily on my face. Sloane, however, seemed oblivious and ate it without hesitation. She smacked her lips.
Tastes great, thanks.
I could not bring myself to meet Harrison's eyes. A few days later, Harrison returned from a business trip. He brought me a limited edition Birkin bag. It was the style I had admired in a magazine. In the past, I would have gladly accepted it. But now, staring at that exquisite orange box, it felt unbearably hot in my hands.
This color does not really suit me.
I murmured softly.
It seems more like Sloane's style. Why do not we give it to her?
The living room fell silent. The air itself seemed to freeze. I could feel the pressure around Harrison growing heavier by the second. His face, usually as warm and composed as ever, now bore a thin layer of ice. He did not speak, merely placing the box on the coffee table. Then he turned and went upstairs. My heart followed his footsteps up the stairs, sinking bit by bit. Had I done something wrong? I only wanted to return what rightfully belonged to her. That was all. This tension reached its peak during the weekend family dinner. To celebrate Sloane's homecoming. The family invited all the extended relatives. Throughout the meal, certain individuals kept taking subtle jabs at me.
Natalie is such a lucky girl, is she not? Indeed, she has enjoyed 10 years of luxury in the Vance household. Now that the rightful daughter has returned, she still gets to stay. The Vances are truly magnanimous. I just wonder how they will manage to keep things fair from now on.
Those words pierced my heart like countless fine needles. Dense and sharp, they throbbed with pain. I buried my head low, pretending not to hear a thing, focused only on pushing the food around my plate. Suddenly, a sharp clatter echoed. Harrison slammed his silver fork onto the table. The force startled everyone. The clamor around the table vanished instantly. He slowly lifted his eyes. Those eyes that always held a gentle smile. Now, they were as cold as ice. He swept his gaze across the relatives at the table, each wearing a different expression.
One more word from anyone and they are out of the Vance family.
A deathly silence fell over the room. Even the most gossip-loving individuals turned pale and dared not utter another word. Then, under everyone's gaze, Harrison picked up a pair of silver seafood crackers. With deliberate slowness, he cracked open a lobster claw, extracting the rich, tender meat perfectly. He carefully piled the lobster meat onto my plate, a small mountain. He set down his tools and wiped his hands with a linen napkin. Looking at me, his tone was cool, yet it carried the weight of an unquestionable command.
You love lobster the most, do you not? Eat up? Ignore what others say. Neither I, nor Mom and Dad, nor Sloane ever considered sending you away.
In that moment, the dining room fell so silent you could hear each other's heartbeats. I froze in my seat, staring at the mound of lobster meat on my plate. My eyes stung. Sloane, sitting across from me, showed no trace of awkwardness. Instead, she gave me a playful wink, silently mouthing to me,
We are in this together.
midway through the dinner party, I slipped out under some pretext. The garden was bitterly cold at night. Alone on the patio swing, my mind raced with questions. Who am I? Where do I belong? Just then, A jacket, still warm from someone's body heat, was gently draped over my shoulders. It was Harrison's suit jacket. The lingering scent of cedar from his body clung to it. He said nothing, only wrapped his arms around me from behind. His chest was broad and warm. Through the thin fabric, I could feel his steady, powerful heartbeat.
It is cold at night.
His voice was slightly hoarse. Then, to my gasp, he scooped me up into his arms. He carried me through the garden, up the stairs, back to my room. This embrace, I had known it for 10 years. When I was little and tired from walking, he would carry me on his back. When I was sick, he carried me to the doctor. But today, for the first time, I sensed it. This warmth was no longer just familial affection. It carried a powerful, undeniable possessiveness. My heartbeat completely lost its rhythm. He placed me on the bed and tucked the covers around me. Yet, he showed no sign of leaving. He sat on the edge of the bed, watching me silently. Only the dim bedside lamp illuminated the room. Its glow softened his features into gentle contours.
Natalie,
He spoke suddenly.
we need to talk.
I gripped the edge of the quilt and nodded.
You are not some fake heiress.
He said it clearly, firmly, one word at a time.
You are the one I personally brought home 10 years ago. You are the family I chose.
But
No buts.
He cut me off.
Sloan is mom and dad's daughter and my sister, but you, Natalie Vance,
He paused, his gaze deepening.
you are different.
My heart skipped a beat. Different? How am I different? He seemed to see through my confusion. A faint curve touched his lips.
Now that everyone knows we share no blood ties,
He said deliberately.
calling me your brother is no longer fitting.
I froze. If not brother, then what?
Call me Harrison from now on.
His tone brooked no argument. Harrison. I had silently repeated that name countless times in my mind, but never uttered it aloud without the safety of our sibling title. It felt like a secret buried deep within me, carrying an indescribable intimacy. My mouth opened, but my throat felt parched.
I cannot say it.
Then learn slowly.
He stood up and turned off the bedside lamp for me.
Good night, Natalie.
In the darkness, I heard his footsteps receding. My cheeks burned fiercely. From that day on, my life began to feel abnormal. Or rather, Harrison became abnormal. When we met in the breakfast nook that morning, I instinctively began.
Brother, good morning.
Before I could finish, he lifted his gaze from his iPad. He lifted his eyes and looked at me quietly. His gaze was not fierce, yet I could not look away. The air around us seemed to freeze. My cheeks began to burn. Under the suppressed laughter of Martha and Sloan, I could only swallow my words and change my greeting.
Harrison, good morning.
Only then did he curve his lips in satisfaction.
Morning.
Then, citing poor lighting in my room that harmed my eyesight, he moved my drafting table into his home office without further ado. From then on, I worked on my design projects while he handled corporate business. Sharing the same room, we could see each other whenever we looked up. He would casually pick up my water glass, drank the half-full glass of lemon water I had left behind. Then, under my stunned gaze, remarked,
Tastes pretty good.
He would lean against the bathroom doorframe while I brushed my teeth in the morning, watching me with leisurely composure.
You have got toothpaste foam on your lips,
I scrambled to wipe it off. He chuckled softly again.
like a little cat who has been sneaking snacks.
The sudden closeness, the forced change in how we addressed each other, those ambiguous gestures, all of it left me flustered. I knew it clearly. The thin veil between us, called brother and sister, was being torn away bit by bit without mercy. This silent invasion reached its peak on a rainy night. Thunder rumbled that night. I had feared thunderstorms since childhood. In years past, I had always run to Harrison's room clutching my pillow. He would sigh resignedly, then share half his bed with me. A strict boundary always separated us. But this year, since the truth came out, I had not done that again. I wrapped myself in the covers. Listening to the thunderclaps outside, my body trembled slightly. When the door opened softly, I jumped. Harrison held a mug of warm milk. He walked in, placed the mug on the nightstand, but did not leave immediately. A blinding flash of lightning streaked across the sky. It was followed by thunder so loud it nearly shattered the glass. I instinctively curled up and covered my ears. The mattress dipped slightly on one side. He slid under my covers.
Come here.
Before I could hesitate, he pulled me into his embrace. Our bodies pressed tightly together, breath mingling. For a moment, only the rain and my pounding heart filled the room. His voice was husky.
Your heart is beating so fast. Is it the thunder or me?
I jerked my hand away, retreating deep into the blankets as if burned. He chuckled softly. When the thunder's roar finally faded, he got out of bed.
Drink your milk while it is warm.
As he turned to leave, he paused.
I will be in the home office tonight. Come over if you are still scared.
In the end, I did not go. This uncontrollable ambiguity terrified me. My inner turmoil and self-doubt reached a peak in the daily tug-of-war. I was not worthy of him. He was Manhattan's golden boy, the heir to the Vance empire, the object of desire for countless socialites in New York's elite circles. And me, an orphan who did not even know her own parents, a charity case surviving only by the Vance family's kindness. I craved his tenderness, yet felt like a thief. I took a deep breath, deciding to travel to clear my head. While packing, deep inside the walk-in closet, I pulled out a dusty cardboard box. Opening it revealed a decade's worth of all the childish, cheap gifts I had given Harrison over the years. A card with crooked writing that read, "Happy Birthday, Brother." A hideously ugly clay figurine from middle school art class, its features squashed together. My first allowance money, a $10 bill spent on a tacky car keychain that looks utterly outdated now, and countless other odds and ends, all mismatched and shapeless. I always assumed that when he received these things, he would offer a polite smile at most before tossing them aside. But he did not. He kept them all. He stored them in a box, preserving them perfectly intact. Holding that box, I sat on the carpet. My entire being froze. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand sore and swollen. "What are you doing?" A cool voice sounded from the doorway. I whipped my head around to see Harrison standing there. He wore a dark, tailored suit, impeccably cut, weary and disheveled. He had clearly rushed back from out of town. His gaze fell on the suitcase at my feet. Then it shifted to the cardboard box in my arms, his expression growing colder by the second.
You are leaving?
His stare made me feel guilty. I stood up, clutching the boxes. Summoning courage, I met his gaze.
Why did you keep these things?
I demanded, my voice trembling without my noticing. He did not answer my question. He walked toward me step by step. His tall figure loomed over me, radiating an overwhelming sense of pressure. Then he crouched down. From the bottom layer of the box, he pulled out an even older one, a metal lockbox, its paint already chipped away. It was his box. He lifted the lid. My breath caught completely the moment I saw what lay inside. The box held several leather journals from his youth. Pressed beneath them was a Polaroid photograph, slightly yellowed with age. In the photo was a little girl who looked about 10 years old. She wore ragged, filthy clothes. Her face was smeared with dirt, her hair a tangled mess like a bird's nest. Yet those eyes stared stubbornly, with a hint of wariness, straight at the camera. That little girl was me. It was me 10 years ago, the day he picked me up from the foster system and brought me home. A picture he had secretly taken. He lifted the top journal from the box and opened it. The slender handwriting of a teenager met my eyes. The date on that page was the very day I was brought to the Vance estate. Only a few sentences were written in the journal.
Found a little stray today. She seems shy, but it is okay. I will get her used to it. Dad said the adoption papers are finalized. Good, from today, she is mine.
The immense shock left my mind blank. I stared blankly at those words, feeling the whole world spinning. So all those worthless little trinkets I gave him, he treasured them like precious gems. This decade-long tender protection was not born of a brother's duty or pity for a pitiful little girl, but a long-planned, secret affection that began in adolescence. For the first time, I glimpsed an unseen corner of his long life. I thought I was an accident in his life. Little did I know I might be his destiny.
You only need to know one thing. Whether you are the Vance family's daughter or an orphan of unknown origin, you are mine this lifetime, the next always.
Harrison's voice echoed in my ear. I met his bottomless gaze. Within it churned complex emotions I could not decipher. My lips parted. My voice caught, but I forced the words out.
I understand.
The moment the words left my mouth, the heavy weight that had long pressed on my heart seemed to lift. He seemed to exhale in relief.
Remember what you said.
His voice was deep and solemn.
Stay by my side. Just let me love you.
That night, I tossed and turned in bed. The weight of his youthful feelings was too heavy enough to make my heart burn, leaving me utterly bewildered. The barrier between us had been completely shattered. But what came next? Could I truly accept this feeling? The shift in our roles, the stares of others, and that lingering guilt tilt towards Sloane. My thoughts tangled into a knot. I acted instinctively. Over the next few days, I became evasive. Not deliberate avoidance, but a more subtle withdrawal. When he came to the home office to work, I would claim exhaustion and retreat to my room. When he texted me, I would reply hours later saying I was busy. When he suggested dinner, I declined, citing design deadlines. Like a turtle, I would briefly extend my head only to retreat swiftly back into my hard shell. I thought I was hiding it well. Little did I know, all of it was being watched clearly by someone else. That afternoon, I was staring blankly at my easel in the garden. Sloane walked over, carrying 2 glasses of iced tea. She handed one to me, then sat down on the nearby patio chair, crossing her legs.
Natalie,
She cut straight to the chase, no beating around the bush.
what kind of melodramatic soap opera are you acting in lately?
I froze.
I am not. Not yet.
She snorted, taking a sip of her iced tea.
My brother's feelings are practically written on his face. Do not tell me you cannot see it.
I lowered my head, twirling the paintbrush in my hand.
I what?
Sloane cut me off.
You are not agonizing over your identity, are you? Or feeling guilty for taking what was mine so you cannot accept his feelings?
My thoughts were laid bare before her, my face burning.
Do not be silly.
Sloane set down her glass. Leaning forward, she studied me intently.
First, I never felt you took anything from me. On the contrary, I am actually grateful to you sometimes. I cherish my freedom. You took on a life of high society expectations I never wanted. Second,
She paused, her expression growing complex.
you have been by my brother's side these past 10 years. Mom and dad say it was only after you arrived that he gradually emerged from the shadow of being separated from me all those years ago. He started acting like a normal person again. To him, you are not some easily replaceable sister. Do you understand?
Her words fell like heavy stones. They hit the stagnant waters of my heart, sending out layer upon layer of ripples.
Now,
Sloane's voice turned cold.
you are pushing him away over this petty nonsense. You think you are punishing yourself, atoning for something, but have you ever asked him if he is willing? Have you considered that your retreat is the cruelest punishment for him?
Her words left me speechless. Yes, I had only thought of myself, never once considered his perspective. Was my avoidance fair to him? To that boy, Harrison, who treasured my ugly clay doll and wrote my most beloved girl in his journal. That evening, Harrison said he wanted to take me to his childhood friend's birthday party. I was about to refuse, but inexplicably, Sloane's words came back to me. In the end, I nodded. The party was held in an exclusive Manhattan penthouse. Inside, chandelier lights flickered, champagne flowed, and voices buzzed. Nearly all the old money heirs of New York social circles were present. I wore the white cocktail dress Harrison had picked out for me. Many approached to greet Harrison. Their gazes lingered on me, laced with scrutiny and curiosity.
Hey Harrison, who is this?
A guy in a designer linen shirt asked with a smirk. Harrison's voice remained as cold as ever.
Did I not already tell you?
He glanced down at me. Then, before everyone, he extended his arm, pulling me tightly into his embrace. His movement was effortless, carrying an unquestionable authority. The entire penthouse seemed to fall silent, all eyes focused on us. Harrison lifted his chin, surveying the room. His cool, clear voice carried to every ear.
Let me reintroduce her to everyone. Natalie.
He lowered his head, his gaze burning into mine, as if I were the only person left in his world.
Not my sister, my fiancée.
Dead silence filled the room. I looked up in shock. My mind buzzed, almost unable to think. Fianc, had he lost his mind? Yet he seemed oblivious to the storm raging in my eyes. Lowering his head, he whispered in a voice only we could hear. His voice carried a hint of tremor and pleading.
Natalie, give me a legitimate status, a status that allows me to protect you openly.
His warm breath brushed my earlobe. In full view of everyone, amidst their shock and murmurs, I saw the deep-seated obsession and devotion in his eyes. For the first time, I did not push him away. I tacitly accepted this, his declaration, his forceful announcement. My heart in that moment surrendered completely to him. The first weekend after our relationship was made public, Harrison said he wanted to go on a date with me. This was our first time spending time alone together as a couple, not as siblings. Both of us felt a bit awkward. I sat in the passenger seat of his Porsche, so nervous I did not know where to put my hands. Harrison, too, shed his usual composed demeanor. He gripped the steering wheel, focused on driving, saying nothing. The car was filled with a sweet yet slightly awkward atmosphere. He did not take me to one of those stuffy Michelin-starred restaurants. Instead, He drove to a classic amusement park on the outskirts of the city.
The internet says coming here for a first date is foolproof.
He looked at me, the tips of his ears turning slightly red. He seemed embarrassed by his own cliché behavior. Watching his clumsy manner, I could not help but smile softly. The Harrison Vance who was ruthlessly decisive in Wall Street boardrooms, the one who ruled his family's empire with an iron fist. Right now, he resembled a lovesick teenager. This contrast struck me as utterly adorable. He actually took me on the carousel. Amidst the colorful lights and cheerful music, a man over 6 feet tall perched on a tiny painted horse. His serious expression looked comical, yet also inexplicably earnest. He gazed at me with focused, tender eyes. In that moment, I felt like I possessed the entire world. That evening, we went to see a movie. A cliched romantic comedy. In the dark theater, I could sense him repeatedly. He hesitated and pulled his hand back. Finally, I gathered my courage and reached out first. His palm was just as sweaty as mine. He clasped my hand tightly, interlocking our fingers. His grip was so strong it felt like he feared I might slip away. I did not take in a single thing the movie showed. All my senses were focused on our clasped hands. His warmth, his heartbeat flowed steadily through our pressed palms. After the date, he drove me home. The car stopped in the estate driveway, but he did not let me out right away. The cabin was quiet, filled only with our breathing.
Natalie,
He spoke suddenly, his voice slightly hoarse. He leaned in, his lips meeting mine. A gentle kiss, inexperienced, tentative, like a feather touching and then withdrawing. Then I saw it. His cheeks flushed crimson at a visible speed. I finally relaxed completely. It turned out, in this relationship, I was not the only one feeling nervous and uneasy. He too was cautiously exploring this new dynamic, from siblings to lovers. This realization brought me an unprecedented sense of peace. Our relationship gradually found its footing through sweet, bumpy adjustments. He began awkwardly learning to surprise me, like bringing me a bouquet of my favorite white peonies while I was sketching. I would quietly brew him a cup of hot chamomile tea during his Zoom conferences. I would quietly brew him a cup of tea and place it within reach, like any ordinary couple. We shared life's little moments together. Just when I thought this happiness would last forever, the Vance parents called me for a talk. I assumed they would oppose our relationship. After all, in everyone's eyes, I remained that adopted charity case. But they did not. Mrs. Vance took my hand, her eyes reddened, and told me,
Harrison was actually very withdrawn as a child, raised from infancy as the heir apparent. He matured far too quickly for his age and felt profoundly lonely. Then, when he lost his little sister during a family vacation, he retreated even deeper into himself. It was only after you came
Mrs. Vance continued,
that Harrison slowly began to change. He started smiling, playing around, and even argued back at us for the first time to protect you. His life gained color because of you.
Mr. Vance added,
Natalie, we never saw you as an outsider. We treated you like our daughter before, and now we would be delighted to welcome you as our daughter-in-law. As long as Harrison is happy, as long as you are happy, we are at peace.
Not only did they not oppose it, they genuinely welcomed me into their family. I was utterly overwhelmed with emotion. At the same time, they told me Harrison had been using his connections to help me search for my birth parents, and they already had some leads. My feelings were complicated. I wanted to know where I came from, yet I feared facing the truth of why I was abandoned. Ultimately, encouraged by Harrison, I decided to meet them. The meeting was arranged at a local diner. Harrison stayed with me the entire time. My birth parents were an ordinary-looking middle-aged couple. They wore ill-fitting clothes and sat awkwardly across from me. Their eyes darted nervously, avoiding my gaze. There was no tearful embrace as I had imagined, no guilt or remorse either. After confirming my identity and learning of my current relationship with the wealthy Vance family, they began to subtly voice their demands. They said their younger son was getting married and needed a massive down payment for a house. They said their own house was falling apart and they wanted to buy a new one. They said that since I was doing so well now, perhaps I should pay them back for bringing me into this world. The greed and coldness in their eyes felt like a bucket of ice water, drenched me from head to toe, chilling me to the bone. Staring at their unfamiliar faces, the last shred of hope I had for family bonds shattered completely. Just as I was about to drown in that overwhelming disappointment and sorrow, Harrison clasped my hand tightly. He pulled me behind him, shielding me from those two ugly faces. He handled everything that followed with calm and firm resolve. I did not know what he said. I only knew that after that day, those two people never appeared in my world again. On the way home, I stared silently out the window. Midway through the drive, Harrison abruptly stopped the car. He unbuckled his seatbelt and turned around. Cupping my face, he forced me to look at him.
Natalie,
His voice carried an unprecedented solemnity.
look at me.
I saw the pain in his eyes.
Your family
He said,
began the moment I brought you home 10 years ago. It is only us now. Those people and events from the past have nothing to do with you anymore. You have me, you have mom and dad, you have Sloan. We are your family.
My tears burst forth, uncontrollable. I threw myself into his arms and wept openly. He held me tightly, kissing my hair over and over.
Do not be afraid. I am here.
The ties to my past were severed completely. It felt like shedding a burden I had carried for 10 years. My whole being felt lighter. I stopped the internal struggle, stopped doubting myself. I began to accept Harrison's love openly, and I learned to love him back. Our relationship entered a new, stable, and sweet phase. Time flew by, and before I knew it, winter arrived. It was the 7th of December, an ordinary day. But for me, it held extraordinary significance, because 11 years ago today, Harrison had picked me up out of the foster system and brought me home. It was the anniversary of our first meeting. That evening, I expected him to take me out for dinner as usual, but he did not. He simply had Martha prepare a table of home-cooked dishes. We ate dinner at home, joined by Sloan, who appeared out of nowhere. After dinner, Sloan made up an excuse and slipped away faster than anyone. In the vast living room, only Harrison and I remained. The fire in the fireplace blazed brightly, crackling loudly. I thought he was going to give me a gift. I was anticipating it. But suddenly, he knelt down on one knee before me. My heart skipped a beat. He carefully took something out of his pocket. It was that thing I had forgotten in the corner, which he had treasured for 10 years. The hideously ugly clay figurine I had molded in middle school art class. He had wiped it clean. Not a speck of dust remained. He held that ugly clay figure as if it were the most precious treasure in the world. Then, Harrison turned the clay figure. A sparkling diamond ring suddenly appeared before my eyes. He looked up at me, his eyes brimming with starlight.
Natalie,
His voice was slightly hoarse with nervousness.
you once gave this to me. Now,
He took a deep breath, his gaze reverent and fervent.
will you give yourself to me too? Marry me, Natalie.
My lips trembled, a stinging sensation in my nose. I could not form a complete sentence. I could only nod frantically. He smiled. He stood up and pulled me tightly into his embrace. Just then, a loud whistle sounded nearby. Harrison and I turned simultaneously. We saw Sloan had returned without us noticing, leaning against the stair railing. She grinned at us. Then she walked over and called out to me in clear, precise tones.
Hello, sister-in-law.
Our married life was quiet, yet filled with countless little joys. We moved out of the Vance family estate into a penthouse in Manhattan. Harrison designed the apartment himself. It featured a large floor-to-ceiling window and a sun-drenched studio, reserved especially for me. One early morning, I awoke from sleep. Sunlight filtered through sheer curtains, casting dappled patterns across the floor. I shifted slightly and found myself held tightly from behind by Harrison. His arms encircled my waist. His chin rested in the hollow of my neck, his breath steady and warm. This must be what they mean by peaceful days. I turned quietly to gaze at his sleeping face. Asleep, he shed his usual cool reserve. His brows relaxed, making him look like a harmless big boy. I could not resist reaching out, gently tracing his brow bone, his nose bridge, his lips. He seemed tickled by my touch. His eyelashes fluttered, and he slowly opened his eyes. Those eyes, usually deep and unfathomable, appeared exceptionally clear in the morning sunlight. My reflection was clearly mirrored in them.
Awake?
His voice carried the hoarseness of sleep. I murmured in response. He tightened his arms, pulling me closer into his embrace. Our bodies pressed tightly together. Neither of us spoke, just held each other silently, feeling each other's heartbeat and warmth. After a long while, I drifted off again. Suddenly, I recalled something from long ago. I remembered the night before Sloan returned. I had packed my belongings to flee only to be caught red-handed by him. I remembered his domineering, dangerous declaration then.
You do not need to vacate the bed entirely, just give up half the space.
I could not help but laugh. Burying my face in his chest, I muffled a question.
Harrison, does this mean I have slept on half your bed.
He paused, then caught on. Lowering his head, he whispered in my ear with a tender, solemn tone.
Not just that,
He kissed the top of my head.
you have also slept on my second half.
My heart swelled with immense happiness. The sunlight was perfect, my lover in my arms. I closed my eyes, my lips curving upward without my knowing. I think I finally understood. From that snowy winter night 10 years ago, from the moment that boy reached out his hand to that mud-covered girl, he had already mapped out a path for me, leading straight into his embrace. I willingly drowned in Harrison,